Hi guys, hope you're having a great day. It's Fred and Sheila with Hatfield McCoy Museum and Adventures and FS Investigates.
Hey guys, it's Fred and Sheila. Thanks for joining us. If you look in the background there, that's the casket of Johnny Edrington, Army veteran, Kentucky State Trooper,
hmm
killed on the side of the road on Highway 80, 2.4 miles inside Laurel County. If you're coming from Somerset, from Pulaski County,
hmm
December the
20th,
20th,
1988.
1988. Guys, this may end up being 2 videos. It's going to be a long one. This is probably not going to be for everybody. This is for those CSI people out there, those friends of ours that Sheila and I have made, especially in the Laurel County, London district, since we found Joseph Couch's remains.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny that we begged and begged and begged, Sheila and I did, for 6 days over there for the state police to see what those birds were flying over. Something over that hill dead. They ignored us. They sat in their cruisers. They rode up and down the road. My wife out there going through woods and hills, and us eat up. We'll have scars the rest of our days from chiggers.
You got eat up more than I did. You took the brunt.
They wouldn't go look and see. In fact, the last evening we were there, me and 2 troopers had words because they were not interested in looking over that hill. In fact, one of them found a bullet, took a bullet, threw it, flung it over the hill like it was nothing. We just had a shooting and act like it was nothing. I got real disgusted. I've been disgusted since, because after Sheila found the body, her and the good Lord, state police comes on the news and says they found the body. Public relations officer posted it on Twitter. It's still there today. And that's simply not true. Now, I'm saying all that to say this. You're probably going to get to see the same thing again, because Sheila and I, along with all these people out there that's calling and texting and messaging and helping us, all these people that's, some of them still around from back then, we're going to solve this case. We're going to solve. We believe it was a murder case. We believe Johnny was murdered on the side of the road. We're going to solve it. Now, we're going to solve it with the state police or without them. We'd prefer they solve it. We'd prefer they get the file from under lock and key, get the evidence out, what's left of it, and they solve this case. But if they don't, and we do, I'm just telling you ahead of time, you're going to see the state police hold a press conference, and they're going to say, yeah, we found the killer. We found his killer. And they'll do the same thing they did with the Joseph Couch case. But I'll be here to refute it, talk about it. Guys, we're going to talk about Johnny Edrington. This is going to be a long, long video. We're going to go over Dexter's foot again, only we're going to go over it line by line, page by page, as far as the chapter that says the Big Gray Coverup.
Okay.
It's only 5 pages long. It's not that long, but we're going to go over it line by line. And we want you guys to follow along, get you a pencil and paper.
Yep.
And when you see something that you catch that we missed, please make a note. Please write it down. Please put it in the comments. You know, we posted a video the other day that said the shirt's missing. Well, the shirt's missing. We're that confident. We're that confident in what we say and who gives us some information that we would bet our life that the shirt is missing. We hope it's not. We hope we're wrong.
Yeah.
But we're that confident. Now, just a few minutes ago, before we came on live here or came online, somebody had posted on that video and said, you're wrong. The shirt's there. You're losing all credibility and you're taking sides with the mayor. Guys, other than the mayor giving us a check for a reward for finding Mr. Couch, you know, that man done everything that he said he would do. He gave a $10,000 reward on his own behalf for
Yeah.
the city of London to help find Joseph Couch. Well, Joseph Couch was deceased. That man very well could have said, well, we wanted him alive where we could he didn't do that. He didn't try to renege like
And revoke the.
others did.
Mhm.
He gave it. But other than meeting him that day and talking to him that day, in fact, we've been a little bit rough on the mayor and the council at times on the
Mhm.
Doug Harless case.
Mhm.
Sheila and I don't pick and choose. We're retired. I'm not into politics. Never been into politics. Lost my
Nope.
job 1987, a detective over politics because I turned in a corrupt sheriff and some corrupt politicians. Go into more, but that'd be on another video.
Another day, another time.
On some others that we could point you in the direction of, but and let you see how true it was. There was also 4 sheriffs and a police chief arrested back during that time, and but that wasn't even Pike County, but that was through an investigation that we were on. What we want to talk about today is the book and a few things that we're going to touch on. One of them is the coat. Not only is the shirt missing, where's Johnny Edrington's coat? She'll show you a picture of later on. See, this is December the 20th of 88. We've got the weather on here. We're going to go over or you can go to weather history and Google London, Kentucky, December the 20th, 1988. It'll tell you what the weather was. And if it's the same as ours, it was, I think the 24 was high that day and 14 was the low that night. If that's correct, Johnny would have had his coat on too. Want to go over, somebody had commented and they had said, how about metal detecting? Has anybody ever metal detected that? I doubt it. I don't know as they have or haven't, but I would welcome people. If you're a metal detector and you know what you're doing, please metal detect. I put a call in to Tate, Fishing with Tate or whatever. He's the guy that was also out looking for Joseph Couch when we was, him and his friends.
Right.
I know they had a drone, so I'm thinking, well, they may have a metal detector or access to one. Go up there and metal detect the crap out of that area and see. They might be a button. They might be anything. Might be another shell casing. They might be, who knows what you may find. May not find nothing.
Right.
Hopefully, it was run over good by the state police and anything there was taken into evidence, and you won't find nothing, hopefully. But would it surprise me that you did find something? It wouldn't surprise me a bit. That's how much faith I've got in the state police anymore. And here I am, Sheila and I, taken up for a state trooper that was murdered, and it was a trooper now trying to call it a suicide. So see, it has nothing to do with the state police, good or bad. I've always said there's good and bad, but here we are taken up for that man in that casket right there.
Yeah.
Trying to stand up for him because he can't speak for himself no more. So if anybody's got a metal detector or in the metal detecting, go by and metal detect that area. If anybody's up on White Oak Road and you know where Insurance Curve is or Insurance Over the Hill or where people used to put a lot of vehicles, go down over that hill, see if there's a truck, a red truck or a light red or a light colored truck, pickup truck, would have been in its 80s, and get a VIN number off of it. Let's see if we can't get somebody to run it, see if it's stolen, see who it belonged to. Very well, may have been used. In this case, we don't know. We just, again, we're fishing. Guy said a while ago, you're going to lose all credibility because the shirt's there. Well, he didn't show a picture of the shirt. He's not standing there holding the shirt up. And if he is, who is he that he has access to the state police evidence room like that? Because the only person that should be holding that shirt up and showing everybody that it's there would be the new detectives they've appointed or the commissioner of the state police just to prove us wrong. He's not going to prove us wrong because that shirt's not there. That shirt has vanished. But this person was saying that. Now, why would a person get so upset over a husband and wife, elderly husband and wife, interested in justice, and calling people out for wanting to say somebody committed S-side instead of them being killed? why would anybody get mad at us for wanting somebody not to be discredited if it wasn't justified? Why would anybody get angry because we're looking into Johnny Edrington's death? I don't know. I don't know. To me, as a detective, it raises curiosity, makes me think that person may be a person of interest. What Johnny ever do to them? Why would they want to? According to Lieutenant Colonel Asher's book, several says it was homicide.
Mm-hmm.
There was also a second autopsy review performed by a world-renowned pathologist. We're going to get to that. Guys, this may be a boring video to some, but if you'll hang till the end, let's solve this case. And we're going to give you the means on what Doug Asher says and what we know, a little bit that we know. If we all work together, we can solve this case. And we've done got some clues. The clues are coming out on our comments.
Yep.
I think some of the clues are coming out. There was also a second autopsy review performed. The question is, where is the state police? Where's the state police right now? Sheila and I have been on this for a month or two now. Made videos, we've questioned, we've asked, we've sent letters to the attorney generals to ask for open records for the state police. We've done it all. Where's the state police? You have a man here that worked for the state police for 30 years. And he says the state police are untrustworthy. They're discredited. They're the command staff they did a cover up. He says the state police, great cover up.
Big Gray.
He's talking about the Big Gray Coverup. Thanks, bud. Thanks for the help. You got to be there for me because I get talking. My brain outruns my mouth sometimes, if y'all haven't noticed. But he comes with the Big Gray Coverup, which means he's going against the very people that he worked with, the very organization that he worked with. But it's not that he's going against it, because I went against an organization that I once worked with and some of the guys. Yeah. But I did it while I was working. I did it while I was getting paid and going to draw retirement. He waited 30 years, wrote a book about it while he's drawing that hefty retirement check. It wasn't important enough to him to give up his job for and call people out. But now, well, he still don't call them out. He says command staff, command staff. You're going to hear that a lot. Command staff, if you're telling the truth. And you know, the funny thing is, I made a list right before we come on here. That's the people that's listed in that chapter on his book. Most of them's dead. It's not hard to write a book. Yeah. It's not hard to come out and say something when there's nobody to refute it. Who's going to call you out on it? After all these people start dying off, all of a sudden, are they going to wait until this case too is solved, come out yelling that they found the killer? Is that the state police? That we've covered that, but is that what they're going to do? Their own 30-year retired colonel started this inquiry by stating that KSP was involved in a Big Gray cover-up. You would think they would take offense to that and want it clarified. You would think that, wouldn't you? Guys, please don't use people's name unless you have proof of criminal or wrongdoing. In these comments, please don't put people's names in there. If you want to call us and tell us information, that's great. We've got a file right over there that I'm looking at, but I'm not going to go get it. But it's addressed to whoever is assigned to this case, because this case is going to be reopened if you guys help us. If you guys will contact Hal Rogers, if you'll contact any politician, anybody you know, anybody in news agencies, TV, radio, newspaper, if we'll contact enough people and raise enough stink, they will reopen this case, and we'll get to find out one way or the other. S side, homicide. Is Asher lying? Is the state police lying? We can find out. This is not about guesswork. It's not what this channel's about. We like the information, but if it's no more than speculation, if it's no more than rumors from the past, we'd rather not hear them. Right. If you've got proof, that those rumors and the reason for those rumors may be true, that's great. Call us. If you have any proof or evidence, we'd like to pass it on to the law enforcement agency that eventually takes on this case. Or you can just give us your name and address, or you can just wait, hold on to it. And when somebody opens this case up and takes it over, you can contact them yourself. You don't have to go through Sheila and I.
Exactly.
If you've got something that you know is credible, because people's called us and asked us or text us messages, I've got information for you, but will you keep it to yourself? Yeah. We won't put it on YouTube, but we'll give it to the agency, whoever it is, when they investigate this case and reopen it. And if that bothers you, then probably what you've got was not worth hearing, or it's a rumor. Or then again, it could be because of somebody that's involved and
might be afraid.
You're afraid. We can't help you on that. You'll just have to wait till the agency comes in, somebody starts investigating and see if you trust what they're finding. And then you'll have to decide whether you want to talk to them or not. Comments or names without proof is nothing more than slander. We don't want that.
Right.
Don't want to slander nobody. They've slandered Johnny Edrington enough. They've slandered Johnny Edrington's name enough. He's got grandchildren. He's got a child. And they have to read this stuff or hear it on the news where their dad committed suicide when there's absolutely no proof whatsoever that happened. 36 years ago, false allegations and innuendos concerning Trooper Edrington. See, this is wrong. Even me sitting here taking up for this guy, I'm sitting here thinking, what the heck are we doing sitting here taking up for a Kentucky State Trooper when you've got Kentucky State Troopers out there that ain't taking up for their own? This is one of your all's guys. He wasn't a police officer, a blue. He wasn't a deputy sheriff, brown. He's gray. I've never been gray. We're taking up for a man that because it's the right thing. Way to go, punk. Right's right and wrong's wrong because it's the right thing to do. If you put somebody's name in a post without any proof or anything like that, we're going to delete the post. So you can say what you want, just don't name names.
Please don't name the names. Yeah.
Still America, where everybody's proven is innocent until proven guilty. And we agree with that. We do read everybody's comments. We read everybody's. We may not respond to them, but we read them. Somebody had wrote on one. I remember meeting Johnny when I was a kid. He bought me a soda at City Hall. Then just a couple months later, he died. My dad and I went to his funeral at Bowling Funeral Home to pay our respects. I just hope he's at peace. We do too. Oh. We do too. And going on, we're sure he is. That is his grandchildren. Since Lieutenant Colonel Doug Asher brought out 36 years later and calling this a suicide. Why dishonor a veteran, a fellow trooper, a dad, and a grandpa? Why? What's the purpose in that? To write a book? To write 4 pages, 5 pages in a book? Or does Doug know something we don't know?
No.
We don't think so. You're gonna hear more about that after a while when you hear Doug talk about how good of friends he was with Jack and Patty Edrington. Jack and Patty Edrington was Johnny Edrington's mom
parents.
And dad. You're going to hear how good of friends they really were in a minute. Stay tuned. Anyway, if you had the shirt, somebody said, if you had that shirt, it would be so compromised you won't be able to test it. Really? We beg to differ. If the shirt still exists in evidence, but it don't. It don't. I hope they prove me wrong for us because we don't think it does. We've met some interesting people since we started doing this case.
Yep.
Heard from interesting people.
Yep.
We believe the people we talk after, the people we repeat, is people that we trust that are telling us the truth. It's not somebody off the wall that just text or called and want to talk.
Right.
These are credible people, we feel. We beg to differ. It would, if it's been preserved like evidence should be preserved, excluding the few who would have assisted at the scene in
Mhm.
putting Johnny into a body bag and such, there will be no reason for anybody else's hair, fiber, fluids, blood, etc., to be on him or on his shirt, except for those few people with the ambulance or the rescue or the
But
mayor's
usually,
office.
the ambulance and them, wouldn't they have gloves on though? People at a crime scene, wouldn't they have gloves?
Yeah, they'd have gloves on, but they wouldn't have blood dripping off on the shirt too. They wouldn't have their
Right.
DNA
Right.
on the shirt, or if they did, there would be a reason for it because the state police will have a list. You will have a list in that file if they done half but investigation.
Mhm.
There'll be a list of everybody that was at the scene, everybody that was anybody.
Okay.
They should have names galore, and you rule those people out. If any of that DNA's on there,
Okay.
it might be a reason for it to be there,
Good deal.
but there would still be the shirt could still be tested
Right.
if
That's
it's
what I'm
been in,
saying.
if it's been in evidence and protected after all these years, especially if there's DNA.
Mhm.
Someone, well, if there's DNA on that shirt from somebody that's incarcerated, been incarcerated for the last 30 years,
Mm.
why if there's DNA on that shirt from somebody that's been in prison for all these years? How would somebody else's DNA that not even connected with anything have DNA on that shirt? Wouldn't that be that's a case breaker
Interesting.
there?
Yeah.
And there's Johnny shaking hands with Bush, President Bush, after he had found a murderer out on I-75 he'd arrested. And there he is with his coat on.
I'll add that in the
Okay.
video.
There he is with his Kentucky State Police coat. There's buttons, patches. Did he have his coat on over his shirt? You know, Doug Asher says that he opened up the body bag, and I'll get to it, but the shirt was in perfect condition. Well, was it in perfect condition because he had his coat on? Because here he's got his coat buttoned up. His shirt's not even showing except his tie at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Where's his coat at? You know, we was asking about a shirt the other day. Now the coat's come up thanks to this one. But the coat is now in question. Sheila says, what was the weather like? He's wearing a coat here. Where's his coat? That's how you do, guys. You CSI people sitting at home. It's what you do. Listen to everything we're saying when we get over here to his book. Listen to and see what you come up with. I may say something you say, well, Fred's wrong. That's not. I don't care. Prove us wrong.
It's okay to be wrong.
It's okay to be wrong. At least we're working on it. Might explain why the uniform was in perfect condition, according to Lieutenant Colonel Asher. Did he have his coat on? And here's the weather chart. December 20th, 88, weather, temperature 14 degrees, 72% chance of rain. High temp was 25 that day. At 12:54 that night, it was 25. It was 25 degrees that day and 14 degrees that night. So he would have had a coat on. Who was there? Additional patrol units, immediate supervisor, rescue personnel, homicide detectives, evidence technicians, public information officers, notification of chain of command. Don't get sued. Somebody wrote, we're going to get to the book here in just a minute. Somebody wrote and said, don't get sued. Guys, if we get sued over trying to find out who killed a Kentucky State Trooper, that may be the best clue that we've got so far. Who in the world would sue somebody because they're trying to find who killed a state trooper? Sometimes suits are not that bad, as it gives the attorneys, your attorneys, the opportunity to dispose the other parties. If somebody would file a suit on something like this, that would give you can take depositions. And you can ask questions of them, and you might find out a lot more than you will from what Sheila and I are trying to do here. And you can guarantee it, because I don't have a lot of friends in life, but I did meet a lot of attorneys in a 40-year career of being a police officer, and some of them I consider friends. And So you can guarantee that if there's ever a suit, get ready because there's a counter suit coming at you. Just the right thing to do. Let's look at both sides. Sheila and I sold our house years ago, gave up what we had to our children and grandchildren. We live in an apartment. Wish you could see it here. Little small apartment.
Yep.
And we own 2 vehicles, both of them 07s. We own an old 1984 boat. We got 2 bicycles downstairs. We haven't rode. They're brand new. We've never rode them. My back can't do it. We just never got rid of them. So we don't have a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out. So if you want to sue us, have at it. If we say something that's that discredited or wrong, probably need to be sued because we try to watch ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't want to be treated unjustly, been treated unjustly. And if you've ever been treated unjustly, you don't want to be treated unjustly again. So you certainly don't want to treat somebody else unjustly. While we want to treat everyone innocent until proven guilty, we are not going to stop looking at suspects. We're going to follow any lead that will tell us how Trooper Johnny Edrington died.
Yeah.
We're not going to back off because of lawsuits or threats of lawsuits or threats of life. Somebody talked to us yesterday and we'll say the same thing. They had given us some information. They told us, they said, I want you to know, I told my family, everybody, I'm not suicidal. Neither are we.
Nope.
Neither are we. And Sheila and I pretty well take care of ourselves. So if we have a fighting chance.
Right.
And but this person, was concerned. If there's a suit to be filed, it seems it would be from the Edrington family against Lieutenant Colonel Doug Asher for the unproven, unsubstantiated, and slanderous and libel remarks in his book, Harlan County Sun, and more specific, the chapter in his book titled The Big Gray Coverup. If there's ever been somebody slandered and libeled, it is the Edrington name, the Johnny Edrington family, his wife, former wife, widow, his daughter, grandchildren. That's the people that has been hurt. Because you're going to see here in a minute, this death was ruled a homicide. He can say whatever he wants.
Yeah.
When you have credible proof that it's a homicide, you're insulting and slandering people's name by saying it's a suicide, especially 36 years later. Whoa. I hope there's an attorney out there, a good attorney, that would want to file a lawsuit against this fella. And we'll try to put you in contact with people because this family's been done wrong. This family's been done wrong. Here we go, guys. Asher's book, The Big Gray Coverup. 1948, he starts off. Kentucky State Police was founded. And that's correct. Premier law enforcement agency, he says. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not going to read sentence by sentence by sentence, or not a lot. There's some of it I do.
Word for word.
Word for word, but we'll just skip over it.
Okay.
Paraphrase it. The reluctance or refusal of a few personnel to own up to the facts and the truth. This is his words. Doug Asher says that the credibility of the state police was in peril of the reluctance or the refusal of a few personnel to own up to the facts and the truth. So there's some personnel that's in the state police that lied. They didn't tell the truth. They didn't own up to the facts and the truth. You know, the thing about Fred McCoy, I'm sorry, it's just the way I've been in the Hatfield McCoy history. It's the way I've always been. If somebody tells you something and it's not the truth, then it's a lie. Now, you can sugarcoat it. You can say it's not factual. It's mistruths. It's this, it's that. You can do that and be nice and polite and politically correct. That's not Fred. Somebody wrote that on there a while ago, and I said, you're a liar. The shirt's not in evidence. You're a liar. And if I'm not correct, show the shirt to the people, and I'll apologize for calling you a liar. But as of right now, that's a lie because we don't think it's there. Mm-hmm. So sometimes when I get my personality, look over it. I'm sorry if I sound rude or mean. This is a man's credibility we're talking about. This is a man's life. His name. Used to have a plaque. Still got it. It's in this building somewhere. This is all Mom's collection here, and the family now. That's theirs, and our grandchildren and children.
Right.
But we just more or less caretake it for them. But there's a plaque in here somewhere that says your name. Your family name is all your father had to give, and it was clean when he gave it to you, and try to keep it that way. And
Mm.
that's the way I feel about Johnny Edrington, or we feel.
Right.
This is not us saying this. This is one of their own, where he's saying
Yeah.
up here that sometimes serves to erode the public's trust. Doug Asher said the reluctance or refusal of a few personnel to own up to the facts and truth sometimes erodes the public's trust. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. After 30 years, you come up and write a book and say things when you could have done it 30 years earlier as a trooper, tends to erode people's trust in the Kentucky State Police. This is not us saying this. This is one of their own. This was a lieutenant colonel in the Kentucky State Police. He is referring to and questioning the character of fellow troopers, especially in the command staff of the KSP. Wow. This man is questioning the credibility of the Kentucky State Police command staff of 1988. If you are a command officer, command trooper, detective during 1988, you were in command, you're who he's talking about. He just called you a liar. He said it in a nicer way than I would say it. He said they refuse to own up to the facts or the truth. Sometimes it serves to erode public trust. Well, I'll put it in plain English for you. He just called you a liar. Command staff, he called you a liar. This is his words. One of the greatest examples is the conduct was the cover-up. What's the cover-up? Implemented by some of the command staff surrounding the death of Trooper Johnny Edrington. That's Asher's words, exact words. The cover-up. He's done named it. Who was the command staff in KSP in December 1988? Because Doug Asher just called you out in his book as being involved in a cover-up, being not owning up to the truth surrounding to, pertaining to Edrington's death. Now, anything in black there, that's in case you show any of this on the screen later, that's Asher's own words. Red is our words. December 1988, Trooper Edrington was found dead next to his cruiser, 2.4 miles from Pulaski County line. One shot one time with his own .357 revolver in the head. You're going to see a video in a minute. Several seasoned and experienced investigators were assigned to the case. Great. Unanimous decision of all investigators, county coroner and assistant ME, Trooper Edrington's gunshot was self-inflicted. A member of the command staff made several attempts to influence those individuals' decisions. Who was this trooper that did this? Colonel Asher. What is the command staffer's name? Very important to name this person. He says that somebody in the command staff went by post 11 before he got back. He was away at families visiting. And before he could get back, a command staff, state police personnel, had gone to post 11 and tried to, what do you say, intimidate? It'll be down through here in a minute. Command staff made several attempts to influence those individuals' decisions. Who was that person? He says command staff. Wouldn't this have been a perfect place to put Sergeant Joe Johnson? Major Joe Johnson? Colonel? Atmosphere Dunkin' Donut? I don't know. Call them whatever you want. I'm trying to make sure I don't mention. I do know some troopers of that time.
Be careful.
I do know command staff of that time because I was a detective.
Yeah.
I know some people in the state police, and I think they would take offense to this. But guess what? You can't hardly take offense when you're dead. Can't hardly take offense if you're dead and you can't respond to something somebody writes 35 years later. Has no problem saying military veteran and trooper Johnny Edrington committed homicide. He has no problem saying that. But on this person, he just says command staff. So that tells me that probably that's somebody on this list, but they're not dead.
Oh.
Because if they was dead, he might put their name. What are you going to do? Go ask them? You going to go ask them? That's just my thinking, guys. Guys, let me go ahead and put this out there. We're going to have a disclaimer at the end of this video. Again, we don't have a pot to pee in or when to throw it out, but just so you'll know, we give our opinions. We speculate. We allege. We also tell a lot of truth that we can prove and back up. But let's throw that out there. Doesn't name the command staff attempting to influence or impede the investigation. He says that they tried to influence those investigators to no avail. That's in his book. That's his writing. To no avail. It didn't work on them. Oh, yes. We think there was avail, as it was listed as a homicide on Johnny Edrington's death certificate.
Yeah.
He can say whatever he wants, but at the end of the day, Johnny Edrington's death was ruled a homicide. So by him saying this was a suicide, he's slandering Johnny Edrington's name. Unless he's got proof. Unless he's got something, unless he's got a note from Johnny Edrington that says, I'm having a bad day, having a bad moment, I'm depressed, I'm this and that, I'm just going to do it. That would be proof. Now, that would be overwhelming, because you'll hear him talk about overwhelming proof all through this book. Ain't no overwhelming. There's not even proof, much less overwhelming, but that's what you call speaking into history. The command staffer took other steps to circumvent the truth. This is Asher's words. The command staffer took other steps to circumvent the truth. What? A KSP command staffer is accused again of being dishonest.
Dishonest, yeah.
Now listen to the next sentence real good, because we've studied this. Sheila and I have been up for 3 days on this 4 pages of a book.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping you guys do the same. I'm hoping there's 1 or 2 of you. We know there's not going to be a lot of viewers.
Right.
But all it takes is 1 or 2. Somebody that's met somebody over the years. Somebody that knows somebody. Somebody that 35 years later, they think, oh, it's all cool now. I can say, hey, guess what? I know about this, or I know, because it could happen. Maybe it did happen. We just got to get that person to feel comfortable enough to come forward and say, hey, I know something. I don't care to tell it.
Yeah.
Let's listen to what he said here. The revelations contained in this chapter are in no way intended to defame the memory of Johnny Edrington. Oh, okay. See, we just must have misunderstood that. Wow. Could have fooled me or us. I don't know how much more you could defame a trooper and a veteran than to come out with a book 35 years after his death and say he did himself in. But he says, in no way intended to defame the memory of Johnny Edrington. Wow. What a... I feel you. And you're right.
Okay.
I don't want to get personal, guys,
That's
because it's easy for me to
right.
do. If this was your dad, if this was your brother in that casket,
Uncle,
your son,
nephew, whatever.
how did Jack and Patty feel watching their son? They're probably in that picture there somewhere, watching their son be put in the ground. How'd they feel?
Yeah.
Their state trooper son, their Army veteran, military police son. How did his wife at the time feel?
Yeah.
Pregnant with their first baby, only baby.
Yeah.
After FBI and chief medical examiner says otherwise, revelation, an act of revealing or communicating divine truth. He's saying this is what he's writing in this chapter of this book is The divine truth. Google.
You said it's
Definition of
revelation.
divine revelation. Communicating,
Hmm.
revealing something that's divine. It's revealed by God. Well, read the book or go through it with us here, because I've got the good stuff here, or we do. Johnny's parents, Jack and Patty, were wonderfully kind people. This is from Asher.
Yeah.
Johnny's parents, Jack and Patty, were wonderfully kind people. After Johnny's death, they became dear friends of Doug and his family and remained so until their respective death. So it says in the book. We found that not to be true.
Yeah.
Not to be true. We're not going to say by who, but
yeah,
we know it's not the truth. Commonwealth of Kentucky. Sheila will put this at the end.
Okay.
And they have blackened out some of the personal notes that Patty, Johnny's mother, had written on this letter when she got it from Doug Asher. Commonwealth of Kentucky, Kentucky State Police, Post 11. I wish we could show this now. I can't do it though.
I'll put it at the end. And what I'll do is I can place it here, make it pop up here, but
let me do this right here real fast, guys. Sorry to hold you up, but it may be worth it because you're going to see it at the end anyway. But just to give you
nope.
No.
It was there because
oh, there it was.
There it is. There's the there.
Let's see if you can see this.
Camp for the window. There you go.
She'll have it for you in a minute. At the end of the video, you'll get to see the whole letter. This is a letter from Captain at the time, Doug Asher, dated February the 21st, 1989. And it says, Mr. Jack Edrington, tells the address, Campbellsville, Kentucky. Dear Jack, sorry I haven't got back in touch with you sooner. I have enclosed a copy of the thin gray line newspaper. Les Calhoun provided some information on page 3A about the investigation. It's interesting. Anybody that's got access to that, look it up and see what they said. It's supposed to be an open investigation, but evidently they're putting it in the thin gray line newspaper. We don't have that. I called Ed Bowling. And remember, Ed Bowling was the coroner in London at the time, Laurel County. His son, Doug Bowling, I believe, is now the coroner and owns the funeral home. But I called Ed Bowling about the mistakes on Johnny's death certificate that Patty left on post last weekend. Ed advised me that he would correct the 4 blocks checked as incorrect. Block 1 is to be changed to John. How you pronounce that, baby?
Montague
Edrington II. Block 8, reference military service, is to be corrected to yes. They had spelled Johnny's name wrong. They had put him as
not being a veteran.
Yeah. And they're going to change it to yes. Block 21A is to be signed. They hadn't even signed the death certificate. And block 30A, date of injury, is to be changed to 12/20. See, guys, they didn't find Edrington until I think it was 2 something in the morning.
Yeah. 2:45 maybe.
Something.
Yeah.
From what we know, we don't have the file. See, it's hard on us to know anything because we don't have the file. Imagine what we're finding out without the file. Imagine if we actually had something to go by. But they didn't find him till 2 o'clock in the morning, so it would have been the 21st.
Right.
He was on duty. He was to get off at 12 o'clock midnight. He never checked in at the midnight check-in. He never checked in. When they done a status on him, he never reported in, which meant that he was dead at that time.
Yeah.
So that would have been on the 20th. They had put the wrong date on his death certificate. The corrected copy will have to be obtained from the Register of Vital Statistics after it is filed in order for it to be an official copy. I'm sorry for this inconvenience. See, he's done made some 4 mistakes, him and the coroner, on the death certificate. If we can be of assistance, please call anytime. Sincerely, Doug Asher. The old saying, a little change every day leads to a changed life, fits in with this book. A lie here and a mistruth there leads to a fictional story unsubstantiated with facts. You're probably going to hear about it on over in here because we've got some more letters from different people. Doug Asher was not a friend of the Edrington family after a while. The Edrington family, Jack and Patty Edrington, actually asked for him to be removed
from the
case and have no access to the Johnny Edrington case. Now, this is real simple. If we're wrong, state police can break out the file and everybody can entertain us out. If we're wrong, you can prove us wrong because all we know is what we're being told, and we believe every word of what we're being told. And we believe that Mr. Doug Asher, I heard once, was butthurt. He wasn't involved. They kicked him to the curb. He was no longer needed. You got to understand that Doug Asher, Lieutenant Colonel Doug Asher, post commander, and 3 detectives, within 2 or 3 hours of this man being killed, they ruled his death a S side. A S side. A friend, fellow trooper, an employee. Doug was his boss. You're not going to give a man no more short of a note, a video. Short of a note, if a man writes a note and says, I'm going to S side myself. Short of a note, you didn't have a note. No way you should call this S side without a note to be 100% sure. Doug Asher says, we're going to stop this at an hour. This is going to be a
47 minutes.
Three-parter. I don't care. We're just going to stop it at an hour, wherever we're at.
Okay.
This chapter is intended to expose the cover-up perpetrated by some in the command staff. This is Doug Asher's words. That's his writing. This chapter intended to expose the cover-up perpetrated by some in the command. Who, Doug? Who, Mr. Asher? Who's this? Who's in the command staff? Who are we naming here? Is it some of these that's deceased? Or is it other ones? A little late, don't you think? See, this is our notes that we've talked about, come up with. And when you see something ill or real bad, that's my notes. That's my wording. Sheila wouldn't word things like that. That's not the way she does things. A little late, don't you think? But once again, implicating wrongdoing and even deception by the KSP command staff. See, Kentucky State Police should take such offense to this right here, right now. Those people in Frankfort right now should be taking such offense that a former trooper of theirs has destroyed their credibility in his book. There's nobody that could have ever hurt the state police more than this man has with credibility with the Kentucky State Police. But yet he didn't mind staying there for 30 years and drawing a retirement check. It was okay to work for him for 30 years. They was discredited. They was dishonest, but I guess I can make it for 30 years so I can draw that retirement check, write a book about it someday. How many other people was treated dishonestly? If you're dealing with dishonest troopers, if you're dealing with dishonest command staff, if you're dealing with dishonest people, how many other people? How many civilians? That's a trooper in that casket. How many civilians are in prison? How many went to prison? How many died in prison? How many got wrote tickets? If they're that corrupt, and now they're investigating a case in Lowell County that Lowell County says they don't trust the state police at Post 11. And we wonder, Why? We don't wonder why. We know. I would be so offended by the remarks if I was in command, if I was in the command staff, especially at that time, and even now, and with Doug Asher pointing the finger like he is. Unless he's telling the truth, guys. Unless he's telling the truth here.
Yeah.
Unless he's got a note somewhere that says that Johnny Edrington, going to do this. Which makes a person wonder why they are not coming forward and demanding the case be reopened. All through this chapter, Lieutenant Colonel Asher continually refers to the investigation as a cover-up.
Yep.
Over and over and over. So it's not like I do sometimes when Sheila corrects me and I make a mishap and speak the wrong date, wrong time, wrong person. He says it over and over and over. When you do it over and over and over, it's intentions. Top page of 208, Asher says, in December 1988, I was captain with Kentucky State Police and commander of Post 11 in London. After several unsuccessful attempts to contact Edrington over the radio, Trooper Earl Beatty, Trooper Earl Beatty, trying to see if he's deceased or not. I don't have it marked, so I may not check that one. Went in search. He found Edrington's cruiser with Johnny's body laying in the ditch near the front of the cruiser. Trooper Earl Beatty found him. How about field sobriety tests? Where do they take place at? That's just something we wrote down.
Yeah.
Why was he in the front of his cruiser? Could he have been given a field sobriety test? A lot of times you get the person out of the car and take them to the front of the cruiser where the headlights are, where your spotlight is, which we're going to bring up later on. Here's Lieutenant Asher again. Lieutenant Colonel Asher says the Lowell County coroner, Ed Bowling, and his son Doug responded to the scene. Colonel Asher says when he received the call, he was out of state visiting family. He says it took him approximately 3 hours to get to Post 11. Asher says prior to him arriving back at Post 11, the KSP command staff had already come and gone. I know you're getting stuff, but we got about 8 minutes here. And we'll
sorry,
up.
I was looking at the response there.
But not before they tried to intimidate. That's where he says intimidate. A while ago, he said influence. Now on page 208, he says, but not before they tried to intimidate the investigators on how this case should go. Intimidate. We've got state troopers, command staff, intimidating lower grade troopers, trying to intimidate them. Wow. That's corruption at its worst. If that's true. I don't believe it's true. Not on this case. Wow. Short of a note or a video or eyewitness, S side should not have even come into the conversation just a couple hours after a man's death. You're going to hear him say here later on, you're probably going to hear this 2 or 3 times, which is probably going to be on the next video. So that's good.
Yeah, it's going to be on the next.
He says there's overwhelming evidence of a S side, and there's not one bit of evidence that it was a homicide. You guys tell me how you feel. Well, this is what me and Sheila sat and come up with. Blue lights were on.
Yep, that's one thing.
Blue lights was on. Did he have somebody pulled over? You know, it could be either way. There's certain things here that can go either way. Blue lights are on. I want to make it look like I'm on a traffic stop. I'm going to S side, so I'll turn the blue lights on. Or did he actually have somebody pulled over? Spotlight was on.
Yeah.
Spotlight was on. That's in the report. Well, what we know to be the report. Spotlight was on. What would you have your spotlight on for? You have your spotlight on because you're going to make that curtain of light. You want to, when you pull up there, you want to turn that spotlight on so it shines on that rear view mirror and so it shines on that side view mirror. You're going to blind them. You want him where that person squinting can't see back where you're at, where you're coming from. Did you go behind your car and come around to his passenger side, which is what we do a lot of times? We done a video on that. It's not up yet because we're so tied up on this. This is our spotlight was on, guys. Would you turn the spotlight on if you was going to S side? No. not turn your blue lights on. You're not going to go through the.
That's
It
an
don't have to be
awful lot
that.
of pains
Don't have to be
to,
that perfect.
yeah.
You got other things going through your mind right before that bullet. Radar's locked in on. Was it 79?
The target or the
No,
radars?
don't mention. We ain't even gonna mention the target right now.
79.
We're not even gonna mention the
78.
target right now. Let's
Okay.
just leave that.
Okay.
We don't throw out everything that we know yet, guys. But
Yeah, I think
radar
it's
was locked
78
in
or 79 one. Yeah.
front of cruiser where a field sobriety test would have taken place. There's a dent in the hood
Mm-hmm.
of his cruiser. There's scratches, fresh scratches on the hood of his cruiser. Now, if the state police did their job, they should be hundreds of photographs. 35 millimeter back then. We didn't have phones. We didn't have the little cameras, whatever they are.
GoPros or something.
It was all 35 millimeter.
Yeah.
The hood ornament was broken or bent. Got a picture of a hood ornament here. You can't see it, but she'll post just Google a 1988 Ford Crown Vic. That's what he was in. Not 1980s. He was in I don't know that he was in a brand new car. That'd be in the report, the VIN number, everything about the car. But on a Crown Vic, they've got these hood latches, these hood ornaments that bend. They got a little spring in there. You can bend them sideways and forward, backward a little bit before they break off, before they damage. Well, according to what we're hearing, it was broke. It was messed up. Hood ornament broken. Flashlight was 5 feet away from his body. Hat was in the car, but gun was found in his hand. Not just his hand, the wrong hand.
Mm-hmm.
Hat was in the car. This same person that says that they found the shirt, the same person that says that you're going to get sued, the same person that says all these things that sounds like a person of interest to us. He says he left his hat in the car. He didn't want to dishonor it. Didn't want to dishonor it. Didn't mind dishonoring that uniform. Didn't mind falling over in the ditch in the rain. But he's not going to dishonor that hat. Really? That hat was in that car because somebody got out of their car abruptly, and he didn't even have a chance to get his hat and put it on, and he jumped out. Or Johnny Edrington knew
Mm-hmm.
who was there, and he didn't put his hat on. It wasn't no big deal. Could be either way.
Yep.
Where is the cruiser today?
That's a good
Where is the
question.
cruiser? What happened to the cruiser? Some people tell us it wasn't ever even processed. There wasn't nothing. Notice all through command staff. Why didn't he name these liars by name? Calls them liars, but he never names them. Refers to them as command staff, yet talks of an eroding public trust and circumvent the truth. To circumvent the truth means to cleverly avoid or evade the truth. See, I love Webster. I always like to look up let's see what he means when he says these words, what he's talking about, often by using misleading language, half-truths, or deliberately not addressing the full picture, essentially trying to get around the real facts in a way that might be considered dishonest or deception. You know what that is to me? That's called a lie. That's a nice way of saying they lied. The higher ups, command staff, lied.
Yeah, he called them higher ups too.
Preliminary investigators were Detective William Stewart, Detective Johnny Phelps, Detective Larry Lewis. Asher says, best investigators in the state. Well, I disagree. Best investigators in the state, and they couldn't solve this case of Johnny Edrington's death. Guys, it gets real interesting from here on down.
Yeah.
It's 59 minutes,
Yep.
18 seconds. She's going to show you some pictures, which is going to put it at an hour.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on
Part two. Thanks, guys. Do you want me to go ahead and do my closing then? Or
Nope, just let that. We're going, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead and do that because this is going to be a
Mhm.
separate video from
Okay,
the
what
other.
about any of these? Do you not want these in there?
No, we got to save
Okay.
them for the part that, boy, the interesting stuff's coming up. See you in part 2.
Okay. Bye, guys.